Hello Earthlings! Welcome back to my channel, the only Lauren channel. I'm the infamous Lauren. And today we're going to be talking about a subject that is close to my heart. No, I'm just kidding. It's basically just saying stop talking to demons. Stop talking to demons. That's nonsense. Now, I ain't scary like that or nothing, but this video was inspired by someone I follow, and on his channel he calls them machine elves, and I was like, yo, whatever, man. I just know you ain't supposed to be doing it, and I'm gonna give you the reasons why. And yeah, because this is somebody like I really admire anyway, so I feel like this is spreading false information. And we had similar types of research, so that's why I was in on that. But he was just saying that mostly like closed-minded religious people were the ones that were saying that machine elves are demons, and I had to disagree with this notion because demon isn't what you necessarily think. And we're going to classify what these so-called machine elves are to demons and say why you shouldn't. Not because of any scary voodoo hoodoo reasons, but for real scientific reasons. So let's get into it. So in literal terms, when we look at the word demon, the prefix D means a removal or ejection. The root mon means man or mount. We know this already. Remember to take notes. With the combination of those two words, I instantly thought dethrone or dethrone. Decrown or dethrone. Dethroning is just the removal of a monarch from a position of power. So next we'll take a closer look into the word machine in elf. We talked about in previous videos how humans were the wave particle and the archangels were just planets and stars, or in our case just planets in the solar system. But we never talked about how humans were a derivative of the planet, which is a derivative of the star, which is a derivative of God, each one in his own place doing his own thing. Because I believe the saying first is the heavens and the earth. So now let's get into some physics. Now, I'm not about to play no games with you guys. A demon is a dethroned wave particle that has been removed from his position of power. And I'm guessing, since we talked about the psychology of this wave particle, this is in the mind, which is something when we talk about when we say perverted. The per means pre, and then the vert means curve. And I'm just freeballing right now, I just want you to know. Well, what is power? In classical physics, we talked about this before. I hope you guys are taking notes. That power equals work over time. But we're going to be talking about it a little bit different this time. A particle with a higher magnitude can get more work done than a tiny guy. And the word magic is derived from the Pi root mag, which means to be able to. And we might or might not know that historical magi from the first millennium BCE gained a considerable amount of power and influence. We might admire stars and planets, but I believe they're far away for a reason. The only time people had full-fledged communications with the stars and planets, aka the angels, is Enoch, the instance of Enoch, when he was about to ascend and to basically have his position as a program himself, to be an alien. Enoch was being put in placement for a specific purpose. At the time, there was no rain, the continents were all one, and there were likely no seasons. When you read the book of Enoch, It's initially stating that there are only 364 days happening, and then towards his ascendant there becomes 365 days, and that's also the time during the flood, which is what many believe when the continents all broke up, or during the flood. And so it states that 365 to 366 days are added to the calendar. My belief is that he was being used, or is being used, as a program who is regulating the climate, topography, and revelation around the sun, which is why the King James version or whatever of the Bible says that, never said that he died. It said that he was no more. And if you read the Ethiopian Orthodox book, that's where you can get the book of Enoch. So take some notes on that. That's just a little side note there. The word machine, from the Middle English, meaning structure of any kind, a trick, an instrument, a contrivance, and a cunning. Also from the root mag, which means to be able to have power. It shares the same root with might and magic. Now, I don't know much about elves, but when I go to Google them, they are supposed to be a powerful supernatural being in folklore. Related words are sprite, goblin, incubus, and fairy. And also believed to be a mischievous person. And many elves, as in more than one elf, is called elven, which is one letter away from being called 11. Now, many of you guys say that when you see the number 1111, that means the angels are communicating with you. This is a little jumpy. It's a little jump. You can't just say that. But we're doing our investigation because they look related. 11 is a compound of the word or root ain and the pi root luke, which means to leave. Similar words are delinquent, eclipse, and lipo, which all mean lacking. And I know I'm kind of jumping, but another thing to add is, historically and universally, when you have a king or dictatorship, the people of that nation never directly communicate with the king or the ruler of that nation and any other members of the royal family. If this is happening, where a king is talking to the people of his nation, he's usually leaving his kingdom, his castle, and he's going to talk to people for a specific purpose. But it's usually to never really hear them out. It's for his own self, to make himself look good. It's never to actually communicate with the people. So be on the lookout for that. It's really highly unorthodox. So listen, between the planets and stars and humans and the animals, we're clearly allowed to admire one another. Well, actually, just the three, the stars and the planets and the humans, are allowed to admire one another, and then the humans can look up and they can look at the animals and they can look at the trees and the stars as well. But I feel like we're getting the most bearing of things we can actually do, but let's talk about that another time. That's called what I like to call free will, which is what the purpose of all of this that we're going through. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the video. And if you're smart enough, you've catched that I've used the word alien. Which basically means to make estranged, belonging to another place. Oops, what is that? Divine, you said? Sacred? Let's look into it. Divine means to shine, sacred, to set apart, to dedicate. Look, don't touch. Okay. The people of Enoch's time got in massive trouble for communicating with angels for things like beating their face in chemistry. Well, they learned it from the angels. And it's not that they weren't supposed to, it's just that when you don't let your child discover the world on their own and make their own decisions, they kind of become like a brat and spoiled, and they become bad people. It's on a general surface of what is called coddling or spoiling. So it's not that they weren't supposed to do these things, they were just not supposed to be spoiled, which was what happened and why the flood had to happen. So planets and stars, I mean, I feel like we're made of the same base concepts, but they are literally, actually, figuratively, conceptually, spiritually, extra-dimensionally functioning. I would describe their functioning as crystalline properties because it's set and immovable as far as their programming. In material science, we talk about the physics of a material. There are metals, glasses, ceramics, and semiconductors, to name many more. There's chemical bonding, ionic bonding, and covalent bonding. And just to give you a little taste of some material science, all the matter that we deal with today all the matter that we deal with on an everyday basis is held together by chemical bonds. All the matter that we deal with on an everyday basis is held together by electrical forces which form chemical bonds. Imagine if they didn't do what they were supposed to do. It's making me mad. Stay in your place. But reach out too. Just stay in your place. A Coulomb potential is formed as a result of electrostatic between a force of two charged particles, which is potential, that's the Coulomb potential, Qi and Qj, divided by 4 pi, I think that's epsilon sub 0, you don't have to say that, epsilon 0, are the radius, and ij, my handwriting is messy, which is approximately equal to the area of a sphere. So basically I drew a drawing here already that this is this divided by, so you divide it and this is what they are, so that's what that is right there. Because look, listen, these scientists try to play you, but all the equations are just equations of freaking circles and lines and a circle and a line again. So you never worry about that. And the repulsive force is basically the inverse power law, and this is UR equals BRIJ, which is basically saying if you mess with something, it's gonna repulse. That ain't supposed to be. I'm just keeping it not 100, not 200, but 300. If ions get close enough, their core electronic wave functions begin to overlap. The Pauli principle says that the electrons can't occupy the same quantum state. It forces the electrons into higher energy states, having strong repulsive forces. I believe our solar system is part of a crystalline-like structure. We might be part of an ongoing, intense lattice structure. And we want to stay in equilibrium as to not mess the bonds up with each other, right? That means there is no strain and the potential is at a minimum. And the attractive Coulomb forces are imbalanced by the repulsive forces. At equilibrium, R equals RO is given by RO equals R, same thing. U total equals U of R equals negative NA E squared epsilon not RO n minus 1 over n. When you're working the problem, you need to figure out how many ions per unit cell. Low-key, I forgot what that means. But I'm saying it correctly, which means it's muscle memory. And since I haven't pondered it too hard what the bonding forces might be, are, you know, similar to, I imagine it's just the gravity of it all. I have no idea what the repulsive forces would be. Not a clue. Not a clue. My point is, stop messing with particles in their respective places, because all of this stuff is meant to stay together. Like, you know something is wrong if an animal starts talking to you. You know that shouldn't be happening. Like, come on. Come on. We don't talk to animals. Why would you want to talk? Well, we would want to talk to a dog, and we do talk to dogs in our own way. You would... Who would want to talk to a badger? Why am I choosing the animals that I like? Who would want to talk to an I keep choosing elephant. I keep choosing animals that I like. Who would want to talk to a lion? Sorry, lions. I don't really like you like that. What for? What's the reason? I don't know. I feel like this is all about distracting humans overall. I want to talk about this in another video. I'm going to call it quantum distraction, and I've already written the script for it. But the final idea is everything that we're doing right now is not about good versus evil. It's about showing how having free will is bad, essentially bad, because we make bad decisions, and maybe they're right. If we're messing with our external functioning, then no telling what could happen to our internal systems, which is the same as they're talking about with CERN at the moment. So right now we have a thing where we're messing with our quantum states and our astronomical states. So it's the same difference. So like, subscribe, follow me, share this video, and buy my book, and support me on Patreon. Bye.